Yo, 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 what's up, y'all? It's your boy Big Mike in the building. Swish for real. How you living? Hey, our two co-hosts, they might hop on, man. Never know. Boogie Bob got a little something going on. He's taking some rest days, so we might see him later. And Wild Dogs attending with his son, man. His son, they won district, so they doing their thing, man. I'm proud of them, man. Little Jet, salute to you, man. Hopefully you see this podcast. And today, November the 17th is also Jet's birthday, man. So if y'all see this podcast, give Jet a shout out, man, and in the comments and let him know happy birthday, man. So salute to you, Jet, man. Anywho, we got in the building back again, man. One of our favorite guests to come on, man. Big Ken from the Fiyah Session, man. Ken, how you living, man? How you living?
You see it? You see it? You see it? I'm doing good, man. I can't complain at all,
Yeah,
man. Wouldn't do no good if I did, man. How you living?
man. Hey, I'm doing, man. Trying to work on my next film project, man. Got a lot of things on the fire. About to start some other ventures, man. Before just keep things rolling, man. Get something for the family to live off of, just in case things happen. You know what I mean? Jobs lose, jobs come, jobs go. You never know, man. So just trying to make sure everything is in order, man. Before things change for the good or bad. You never know, man. Other than that, but what about yourself, brother?
Man, just working, man. Trying to get these things off the ground. Got some new things popping off with the show. We've been doing a mixture of pre-recorded and live, so that's been going really well. And we got some other shows that we got brewing. That's popping off the gremlin of the fire session. So yeah, it's looking up for 2026 and beyond, man.
Thanks, man. Again, if y'all ain't caught him, man, the Fire Session, you can check him out on all social media platforms, man, and we'll talk about that a little later in the show. But I've been really kind of frustrated lately, King, as a Mavs fan, man, and I'm not gonna stop being a Mavs fan. I'm down deep digging that my roots is, here, man. I from Dirk to the Triple J's we talked about a couple podcasts ago, the Mark Cuban buying the team to everything that's Luca coming and going. It's just a lot. Right now, we're in a bad space as far as the Mavs fan. And looking at the standings, we are in last place. We just lost to the Pelicans, who were they were holding up the last spot. You know what I mean? But now losing to them, they put us in the last spot. And I don't know how much you had an opportunity to kind of watch what's going on with the Mavs. King, what is the reason why that they find themselves, besides the obvious, when we talk about the obvious is Luka Doncic, what is the reason why the Mavs are sitting in last place, in your opinion?
Well, I ain't gonna say Luca because that ship sailed a long time ago, so they
Yeah.
had some time to shake that off by now. But what I think it is first of all, I noticed there's no continuity in the lineups to me. Across the games, I know Jason is kind of experimenting with some lineups to try to see what works with who, and so on and so forth. And a lot of these other teams, they already had that going, right? So at the beginning of the season, you're gonna have your bumps in the road, especially if you're experimenting. But Jason has done this before, so and I think luckily for him, it's kind of worked out in those scenarios as well. So maybe this is just what he's doing. He's a mad scientist. It doesn't make any sense to us right now, but it makes plenty of sense to him, and hopefully it works out in the end.
But with him being the mad scientist, I mean, I agree with that terminology. He's always had an opportunity to keep his team at least 500 or right at 500 and sometimes above. But this is the only season that he hasn't had the opportunity to keep that team at 500. And to your comment of a mad scientist, he tried the same thing with Giannis playing Cooper at the point guard position. You think that type of experimentation, especially with Cooper being an 18-year-old, is going to work or get the team to another level when it comes to getting out of the cellar in the NBA standings?
Well, yeah, I think it's still, like I mentioned, it's still really early in the year. Yeah, getting him exposed at this point, even if you don't do it over a long haul, just getting him those reps, as they say, or that time, doing that could pay off later on when you might need him to actually do that, right? At certain standpoints, because really what it is it boils down to matchups, right? The game is about matchups, and when you have certain lineups on the floor, the flexibility to do different things because we all know these teams, they go into the practice and film room, and they break down things, but when you can throw things at them that they never seen before and lineups that they never seen before, like there's no scouting report for that at certain times. So I think that is the logic that I think that Jason might be working with,
Mhm.
because in my mind that's kind of what I would be doing as a coach at points, trying to throw things out there, because I've heard a lot of different NBA players on these podcasts mention they know tendencies. They, especially the better players, they know where guys are going to be on the floor and things of that nature. And when you have even one player out there that can do that, that's kind of disruptive, very disruptive to what you're trying to do. So when you can mix things up a lot, then I think that bodes well for you, especially come playoff time.
Yeah, what I've noticed is the first game when they played against San Antonio Spurs. What the heck? Wimby, Wimby just went off, man, and that shows you that our we need bigs basically, and I don't know how far we can go. Two people I'm keeping an eye on, and they both play for the LA Lakers, AD and D'Lo. And when I watch AD, we already know he's doing as best as he can because that's who he is. He's gonna hoop. But D'Angelo Russell, what what is his mentality right now? Because when I look at him play, he feel like he's not really into the game. Like he's in the most inopportune moments he makes a mistake or he doesn't pass the ball, he shoots it. And the games he did more of the assists, he did great. But when you're trying to score, I don't know if he's ever been that much of a scorer in my opinion. What are your thoughts on those two players and have they really added something to Dallas besides AD, but more so D'Angelo Russell?
Well, D'Lo is gonna be who he is. He's been this way, um, from what I've seen the past few seasons. So this is nothing new. So when we picked him up, this is the D'Lo that I thought that we would see. And other people that I was around, they argue, "Nah, man, he's gonna do this. He gonna." I'm like, man, listen, that guy is so hit and miss that that's the reason why he was available the way he was available for because you know what I'm saying, like really my expectations for him weren't high when we picked him up, put it that way.
Mm,
I would rather see guys like Brandon Williams get more time.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So at least if we're gonna spin our wheels and experiment, put somebody out there that needs the playing time that could actually help us in the long run.
All right. And my last question on this topic, man, what do they need to do as a team, coaching staff, etc., franchise? What they need to do right now this year to get them to a playoff position? Because you only won 2 games out of 8. So we're only 8 games in, so we probably got 70 something more games to go. But what do they need to do to get to playoff contention?
Well, I think that right now, again, he's experimenting. I'm not having a fire sale yet. It's too early. Plus, they gotta get healthy again, because with AD's out now, of course, but I didn't expect him to be in the best of shape with him having an off season that he had with the surgery and stuff. So when people were talking about he came back and he was heavier and all this other stuff, I'm not surprised by that, right? Because he
Mhm.
didn't get a chance to really, fully do what he should have been doing in the off season, as far as workouts, reps, and all that different stuff that would have had him in much better shape. And we also know that he's injury prone, so him and with more weight, not in so good shape. Yeah, the injury is coming. At some point. You just hope that it's not something that's something that's very detrimental or career ending or anything like that. Um,
Yeah.
but I think that once they get 100% healthy and maybe get a few more games under their belt, let Jason experiment, and once he starts hearing the feedback from the fans and from the crowd and all this other stuff, I think they'll shake back. And I think, like you said, they have 70 something games left, man. They'll be fine. I think they'll be fine come playoffs. And with the roster that we got, I think that it's plenty good enough to win it all. But I also feel like that they're going to move some people before the trade deadline too.
Yeah.
So, and that's not unusual. So, I'm like I said, I'm not jumping off the bandwagon yet or anything like that. I think they're going to be okay, man.
Yeah. I just feel kind of, do I don't, this is my thought process is on Nico. I feel bad for him, but I don't feel bad for him because he chose to take on that role of being the Darth Vader, the bad guy. So whatever happens with this season, you could pretty much they signed Jason Kidd to a multi-year contract, so you could put this season on Nico. You know what I mean? It's got to be Nico. Last year it was more Kyrie. Kyrie, if he wouldn't have got hurt, would have been fine. You know what I mean? So I kind of, in my opinion, I'll put this season on Nico. So, but you gamble with things in life, man. So you never know how it's gonna turn out in the end. But I hope, and I hope two things. I hope Kyrie come back, and when Kyrie come back, we make the playoffs. So that's
Yeah,
my hopes.
yeah, that's the way I see it. So I'm gonna stick to it until it ain't.
Facts, facts. And speaking of gambling on opportunities, the league has been, man, this has been like, remember when Cat Williams said there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out in the
Mm-hmm.
next few years? This dude wasn't lying. I mean, okay, Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, and Damian Jones. I believe he played for the Mavs. All these guys are they not might be all in the same circle as far as gambling goes, but it's evident that the league has a gambling problem, especially if a coach gets caught up in this whole thing. So you can tell watching games who, if you really pay attention, if you got that eye for who's throwing up bricks. I mean, D'Angelo Russell. I'm not gonna say that. I ain't tripping. But Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, Damon Jones, all have been indicted as far as gambling and being connected to a mafia family. When you heard this, Ken, what were your thoughts on this? And does the league truly have a gambling problem? If that be the case, what were your thoughts on that? And how do we kind of, well, the league in general, how do we even watch games now to even really be like into it, that knowing that maybe some of these guys are not playing to their full potential?
Man, it's always been this way. This has
Yeah.
always been the case. The gambling has always been there. Uh, People throwing games has always been there. Refs, being paid off has always been there. The only
Donahue,
difference,
right?
yeah, the only difference, yeah, Donahue. The only difference now is like what Cat Williams was saying, and what really is, making what he said come true is technology. People have cameras, people have recording devices, people have more access and ways to catch people doing things that previously they weren't able to. So there's going to be a lot of things exposed because now there's so many ways to expose it. So and I think that's part of when you talk about these teams and they say analytics. Yeah, I think that's part of the analytics thing because they came up with the analytics to try to catch some of this stuff. I might be
Mm,
wrong, but I'm telling you, listen to when they talk about analytics and how they use it and things of that nature. And this is probably why, because they know that they have players doing certain things at certain times and they want to use technology to be able to catch it. And that's what they're doing, man, because gambling in this, like they say with mafia and all this other stuff, that's the other issue I have with the situation because it's not like the NBA players are running the gambling ring or whatever. So this is
well,
what
Chauncey Billy was,
well, this is what it
quote
sounds
unquote.
like. This
Yeah.
is what it sounds like when you have a celebrity show up to an event and they're there, but other things are going on. They're just a face. They're just a person on the invitation to
Hmm.
get people to come to the club, right? And sometimes the celebrity that they pay to come be a celebrity there doesn't even show up, and when they do show up, they're only there for like an hour, and then they leave. But they
Hmm.
showed up, so people would come. So I think that's what this is. Like you put you attach an NBA player's name to it, which you know this person's name, and you know they got money and things of that nature. So these people come, right? So there was other people at these events, but none of those names have been spewed all over the news.
Mm,
But the NBA players, of course. So I think that's what this is. I don't think the NBA players are behind it per se or orchestrating it. There's somebody else doing that, but they're just a front man. You know what I'm saying, to get people there. So they're the ones who getting dinged for it.
if you think about what they used to, I know you watched that documentary on the Chicago Bulls when they said that they would gamble in the back of the plane. I think that's one of those cultures they built with having all this amount of money. You can gamble, you can win, you can lose, and it's so many things, so many layers to it. You think that's kind of something that the old guard kind of brought into the new guards? You know how you have your rookie hazing per se. Is that something that can be addictive in a sense? You know what I mean? As far as new players coming into the league.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Old traditions are just passed down. I mean, these dudes been playing cards on the plane and on the team bus and all this stuff, you know what I'm saying, for decades. Like this goes back documented at least to the 70s, maybe late 60s. So this is nothing new. As my dad always says, nothing new under the sun. I mean, it's just the same thing. It's just these guys have more money now, and these
Hmm.
guys have more things that they could maybe win or bet, or what I'm saying, those type of things. But again, there's also more technology. So when these guys are playing these games, there's some where there used to be secrecy, right? In the 80s, 90s, you didn't have all this technology. So when those guys were gambling and doing these things, there was no record of it. There wasn't nobody
Yeah.
around with a camera phone or somebody around recording, somebody around streaming, those type of things. But now you have these players doing that stuff, but there's also other people in the general area that may be streaming, that may be recording something, or that may be anything with their technology. So if they just even catch a glimpse of some of the things that these guys are doing in the background, there it goes. It's
And then
exposed.
if you look into, we talked about this a couple podcasts ago too. What's going on with Kawhi Leonard? It's not a gambling thing per se, but he's still doing some underhanded deeds with the team itself. So that could be part of the whole scenario as well. Like I think what they're doing, I think the league already knew what was coming down the pipeline from the FBI because they not all the time they give you a forewarning, but if you're making this kind of money and you have the kind of connection that the NBA has, I can imagine that they kind of gave them a warning here. These are the players we're looking at. So you might want to give us a little bit more information what you got, and just let us know if we can go in. If not, we're gonna subpoena them and come and get them. That's what we're gonna do. And I think some of the same thing is going on with Kawhi Leonard, not the gambling aspect, but so many things, so many layers that they put together business wise to make it to where they can pay this guy under the table. You think that's also part of I guess the equation when it comes to what's going on with the league?
Yeah, I mean, again, these guys have a lot of money, man, and they're not used to, what I'm saying, so many people being intrusive with questions and, their ability to gain information that they haven't been able to have access to or privy to before. So with Kawhi's situation, that is definitely a big problem to me. That's bigger than the gambling because you're paying a guy through other means. So if that one team is doing that, how many other teams could get an idea from that and have people working behind the scenes to do the same? To keep these guys because I mean, they all want to be paid, but we know that the way the league has been going, that's the reason why a lot of these teams don't have success year in and year out, and it's you always hear win a couple times here, win a little bit here and there, because these guys aren't loyal to the teams anymore. They're loyal to the money. So wherever they can get the money, that's where they're going.
Yeah, and I hate it though. And that was my last thought on that subject. But it's just like when you put gambling, especially like you said, these guys have an abundance amount of money. and you add gambling to the equation and being underhanded when it comes to trying to pay players more than what they are contract to pay. It's a mystery when it comes to the NBA, man. I know they know more than what we are privileged to see, so
Oh
I
yeah.
get it though. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Our next subject, man. There's been some great European players, um, Australian players, but maybe a couple of Asian players. But let's talk about the last 10 years for players. Let's take it back to 2000, what, 15? 2015, last 10 years, where there's been an influx for foreign-born players to play in the NBA, and
Mm-hmm.
whether it be light skin or black skin, dark or white, don't matter. They all can hoop, though. Um, what are your thoughts, man, on some of the players that you thought was really good in the last 10 years that entered the NBA, and who's your top, if you will?
A lot of good players. Two stand out. That's Luca and Wimby.
Luca and Wemby. What about Giannis?
He came before that, right? Yeah, I think he came before that because him and Joker, I think, came in around the same time. So that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like 2013,
Well,
2014. So
you're
that's outside that 10 year,
you're
that 10 year
absolutely right.
range.
You're absolutely
Yeah.
right. My bad.
Yeah, so those two are, like you said, there's a bunch of them, but those two are head and shoulders above the rest. No pun intended with Wimby, but it's like it's night and day. Like you have some of these guys that are really good, and then you have Luca, who's like a superhero to a superhero, and Wimby is becoming that. Wimby is the
Yeah.
new up and coming superhero who seems to have a superpower that nobody else had before, right? The only player that you can really compare him to, and I know people get upset about this, but it's really a fair comparison if you go back and look at Ralph Sampson and the way he played
Mm,
in his game and their length and their athletic ability. He's the only, big that was that tall, long, that you could really compare across the board, I think, to Wimby. But as they said this year, Wimby's not 7'3", 7'4". He's actually somewhere closer to 7'6". So if that's the case, that's crazy. That is really crazy. But I believe him because when you see him on the court standing next to other guys, which these guys lie about their height.
yeah.
So when you see him
KD.
standing next to certain guys, it's like you have to look in and take into context he's a foot taller than Draymond Green. He's a
That's
foot
crazy.
taller than Draymond Green. So when Draymond Green was guarding him a few games back, he was at that guy's waist, around his waist area, like around his chest area. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. Like how, like you talking about helpless. It's like you outside trying to guard your dad or your uncle when you're 6 and he's 26. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Luca and Wimby are in a class of their own when it comes to those Euro players and different players coming from outside the United States to come over here. And I pointed this out to some friends too, that you have to look at the top players in the league. Joel Embiid, those type of guys. Those guys are the top players in the league.
Yeah.
In the top 10, most of them are Euro players.
Yeah. Foreign players for
Yeah,
sure.
foreign players. So yeah, so like you could be mad, upset if you want to. It's just what it is, man. These guys are coming here and they're coming here full of skill and they have, what I'm saying, some gifts here and there. But when you look at somebody like Joker, Joker doesn't have any athletic ability.
Nah, he's just crafty.
He's just crafty and his skill level is high. So that's why when you look at these Euro players and foreign players, they focus on skill. Where a lot of times that over here in America, they just focus on the athletic piece of it. Is he athletic? Is he bouncy? You know what I'm saying? And these kids work on those type of things and doesn't work on the
Hmm.
fine tune of the skill. And that's why these European players are coming over here taking these spots.
Yeah, and a couple of notable names, man. Kristaps Porzingis was drafted in 2015, and right behind him was the Domantas Sabonis, drafted in 2016. Well, he Lithuania,
Yeah.
Laurie Markkinen in 2017, Finland, In 2018, Shea Gilgeous Alexander. There's quite a few names out there that were really prominent superstars per se. I still don't see Shea as a superstar, but I guess he'll get there eventually. But those are some really good names. Alfin Seguin, I mean, he's what from Turkey. I mean,
Yeah.
he plays kind of like he's not Joker ish. You know, I mean, he got that big body where he could lean on you and do some things, but Joker's way better than him. And if you go back to Kristaps Porzingis, man, just think about what they thought he would have been.
Well,
He pretty much was.
they called the man the unicorn, and he
Yeah,
was for a while until injuries, you know what I'm saying, struck. So Wemby is what we thought Porzingis would be. Put it
thanks.
that way.
Yeah, talk and hoop, got the 3-pointer, plays defense, and ain't scared of nothing. And that's what Wimby is, man. Do you think he can be? Because I don't know if he'll be the next face of the NBA, but do you think he has the opportunity to be there? Because what he showed against, I keep hating to hear it and think about it, what he did to the Mavs in the first game of the season, can he be the face of the league?
Yeah, I think so, and because I think there's really, of course, it's up to the league. You know, they're gonna hoist up who they want to hoist up into that position. But as far as skill level and ceiling wise for the players in the game right now, Wimby can kind of do what he wants, man, because there's no way to really defend it, right? I mean, you can put different defenders on him. You can't put a small defender on him because he's way too big, way too tall, way too long for them to even try to even defend it. Period.
Yeah, he shoot right over you like Dirk did.
Yeah, so there's that. And then when you put a 7 footer on him, a lot of these 7 footers aren't athletic enough defensively,
Mm.
lateral movement wise, to stay in front of him or to keep him from going to the basket or getting his moves off, and what I'm saying, getting a shot up. So, and he shoots over literally everybody. So I mean, there's no answer for it right now. So yeah, I think he can write his own ticket. He can be the guy. I give him another year or two before they put him up in that position, because I think right now, even though you said Shea is not a superstar, I think there's some people. I think it will be some people that argue that, and especially with
Yeah.
a championship under his belt. I think in this league, um, if he has success this year like he had last year, even if he doesn't win, you're gonna have to put him in the superstar group,
Yeah.
because if you put Anthony Edwards as a superstar, you got to put Shea up there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just don't. Maybe because I'm a Dallas homer that I feel that way, but I'm not quite sure. And going back to the ideal of Wimby being the face of the league, it to me it's between him and Luka Doncic. Reason why I'm saying that Luka Doncic because they moved him to LA. He got more spotlight there. He's being more noticeable there. He got a lot bit more of a they're trying to usher LeBron out and if you can really see the writing on the wall.
Hmm.
So the two of them, man, like Wimby or Luka Doncic, if they had to choose one right now for this year, who would you think the NBA would choose?
Uh, I think they would go Luca because he's been there longer, and he's been proven. Took his team to a championship. I mean, to a finals. So I mean, he's the sexy choice for sure, right? I mean, he checks all the boxes, so he would be my first choice as far as that goes. But like I said, give Wimby a couple years, then he'll be fighting for that spot, or he'll be one of those guys that are definitely in that top five in the league.
Facts. So you think the league will eventually spread itself out to more of the world, like maybe more in Europe now. Maybe we'll put a team or two there to see how that goes, or will it be too expensive to do so?
I don't think it would be too expensive, but it's the question of, will the European leagues welcome a team from NBA, because they have their own thing and the NBA has their own thing, and the rules are different as well. So, and
Yeah,
the play styles are a little bit different over there, and let's just keep it honest, way more physical. So I don't know if the NBA wants to be branded that way as well, because you have to worry about that seal, that NBA brand. So I mean, it sounds like something that they might be able to do, but I don't know if either side is interested in that right now.
what about like say for instance the champions? You got Europe, you got America, you got Brazil, you got Japan, China. every team that won the championship in those countries come to a world championship somewhere in the world. Would that ever happen?
Nah, that's the Olympics. That's it. The USA is gonna send their best over there, but as far as the NBA as a whole, I don't think that they would gain anything by sending a NBA team to battle any of the top teams around the world, because if they lose, it's a big chink in their armor, right? But if they win, they're supposed to. So it's a lose-lose scenario.
No matter what.
Cuz
I would love to see that though.
Yeah, I mean, everybody would love to see that. You know what I'm saying? Including what's the track star's name? He
I
would
know you're
love to see
talking
that
about
too.
it.
He would love to see that too, because you know what I'm saying. Then there would literally be a world champion.
Literally.
Yep.
I can't remember that kid's name, but I know exactly who you're talking about. Man, I mean, foreign players, man, they've done a lot as far as making the NBA more noticeable around the world. So I like the fact that they're coming in. You know what I mean? It gives you a different flair, it gives different. And I still go back to it's probably a couple of years now back where I had this conversation, probably with you, that Mark Cuban was saying how well the foreign kids were being brought up in regards to being able to play basketball. So it doesn't surprise me that there's a lot of foreign-born kids that are making a way in the NBA. So I kind of get it, but I'm a homer. These kids in America can hoop. They're gonna always be able to hoop. So I don't know. The top foreign drafted players in the last 10 years, a lot of them are good, but still, U.S. is the bestest. That's
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah. U.S. is gonna have, I guess, the most players, of course, in the NBA, because it's a United States game.
Mhm.
But like I said, you still have to, what I'm saying, pay attention to who the top players in the league are.
Yeah.
So that's a telltale sign of what's to come. If the top players in the league, I think what they said, 7 out of the top 10 are European or foreign born players. That's that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. So when you look at that list and you're looking at Ant Edwards being the only one really in that top 5, it's
Mhm.
like, let's see what's coming, man. Because let's just be honest. Some of those people were putting like LeBron in the top 5 and all of a sudden, like, no, sir, no, 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 we're not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? He's had a great career and everything, but in that top 5, Ant Edwards is probably the only American in that top 5. There were other 4 are foreign born players.
Yeah, facts. Speaking of LeBron, he's been how many championships has he won? Like four now? Five?
4, 4.
Four? So he went back to back with Miami and after they lost to my lovely Mavericks, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Why has it been so hard for teams in the last 5 to 7 years to go back to back since Golden State? What has been the issue with that? What are your thoughts on that? I mean, why is it so hard for the NBA to have a back to back champion?
Free agency, player movement, man. And like I said earlier, these teams are not. I mean, these players are not loyal to teams anymore. They're loyal to the money. So the hired gun, you know what I'm saying? They're going where they're going to get paid the most. So, and I mean, it doesn't matter about team chemistry or none of that no more. It's just like, oh, you can pay me the most, who can pay me the max? That's where I'm going to go. And, it used to be a point where these guys would want to go somewhere where they could compete for a championship and stuff. And now that's not even really the top thing on their list is how much they can get paid. And you have to look at, too, how there's now more, I think, super agents. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like, these agents have taken a bigger role in free agency, and with these players having more power, to dictate where they go. Those two things right there alone, I think, are the reason why you don't see teams go back to back, because they just don't have the same rosters and the same continuity and the same chemistry to do so.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing is that a lot of teams now have learned how to do exactly what other teams do, counteract what they're doing as far as offense and defense. And it's been a lot of that. Of the parity itself, as far as the league, it's been difficult for anyone to really land into to your fact is that the difficulty was when you can't retain a player because of money and super agents on this thing. It's hard. I mean, I get it. I don't know how they did it in the past. I mean, the collective bargaining agreements, it has a lot to do with it.
Yep.
There's just like too much going on as far as teams being able to negotiate terms and retain players at the same time. It's all about money chasing.
Yep, that's really what it boils down to, man. Who can max me out? That's where I want to go. And like I said, to me, when you have a player like Kevin Durant goes to Houston, Houston had a good team,
Yeah,
but it's like, are they the same team with him? He's a great player, but the chemistry that Houston had was because they didn't have a guy that they had to get the ball to. It
yeah,
was just a bunch of dogs out there, and they were playing defense, and they were scrappy, and they were just hooping.
yeah,
So that's kind of what we've been looking at too. Like I had a conversation with a couple of my friends about LeBron returning, and they're Laker fans, and they said, "Man, I'm not looking forward to it because the Lakers are hooping right now, and they're hooping because they don't have somebody that they have to get the ball
yeah,
to run everything. Like they just hooping, and Luca being who Luca is, he's free flowing as well. So he's like, hey man, go with it. You know what I'm saying? So if that's Austin Reeves getting buckets, go with it. You know what I'm saying? If that's what I'm saying, whoever hooping, if you hoop and hoop, you know what I'm saying? And you know, when LeBron comes back, we know that LeBron has been playing off the ball, as they say, but how effective is he really going to play truly off the ball, and how ball dominant is he going to be when he come back? And I think those are the questions that you have to ask about players like that. But at the end of the day, regardless of how good they're playing now and with LeBron, I don't see them winning a championship. Not
nah,
LA.
fact. Nah, and they have a decent squad. They'll maintain where they at as far as the standings go. I don't know if fatigue plays a factor in when it comes to players being able to maintain themselves throughout the season. Injuries, all these play a factor when it comes to winning championships. And I don't know if because it's been a rash of Achilles tears lately. You know what I mean? The last couple of years, there's been like some tragic Achilles tears, like Jason Tatum last year, and it caused Boston to fall where they are now. So the opportunity to win back to back is shot in the foot. You know what I
and
mean?
and Halliburton.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Halliburton, man.
Yeah,
It's crazy though, because you have these injuries that are causing. That's another part of the equation that makes it hard for teams to go back to back when you lose your superstar. And we think about Dallas. I mean, if they would have not lost Kyrie, would they would have made it back to the Western Conference Finals with AD, Kyrie, and throw in Clay Thompson? You know what I mean? Even though Clay is a shell of himself, maybe they make it back. Who knows?
yeah. Yeah, I think they would have, but I mean that's neither here nor there because that's only gonna be speculation at this point because it didn't happen. But yeah, I mean these injuries are not just in the NBA, of course, across all these athletic leagues, including the NFL. There's been a rash of Achilles tears and
Hmm.
ruptures. So I'm not even sure, man. But like I've stated before, from a person who ruptured his Achilles a few years back, like I understand when these guys are talking about it in interviews and when they're talking about how difficult the recovery process is and the feeling, the initial feeling, you know what I'm saying, of doom and gloom. Like I've been through
Hmm.
all that, so I totally understand, and I just hope these guys can recover from it. And I know they probably will because they have some of the best, doctors and medicine in the world.
Fact. And my last question on this, man. OKC has all their players pretty much still there. You think they would make it back to the championship this year? If so, can they win it to be the only team that done it back to back since 2018?
I think they got a great chance of it because of that, because they maintain their roster. They got the same guys, and they got young guys who are willing to, even their superstar, who are willing to, share the ball, and all of those guys, really from the 1 to 5 on the floor, they play defense. The guys off the bench, they play defense.
Mm,
Effort is one of those big things, and just watching the Netflix special with these guys on there, and watching Shay and watching the behind the scenes and stuff like that, and just listening to how he is and how he is in the locker room and how he approaches his teammates and the love and the fun that they play the game with, man, it goes a long way, man.
It's beautiful. But I'm rooting for him, even though I'm a Mavs fan at heart. But I hope that they'll have opportunity to go back to back, man. Because we ain't seen this in 2018. It's been a minute. So to see them do that and they retain that same squad for another couple of years, even though they got those players on Supermax with um Shea for sure got on the Supermax and their center is on the Supermax. So I don't know where that money is going to come from to retain those other players. It's going to be tough, but that doesn't stop them from being great. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's amazing to see them grow, man. I hope, and I don't. You probably feel the same way. I hope they make it and win it again if the Mavs don't face off against them.
Yeah. That's what I was just going to say. Yeah, first and foremost, Mavs. But if Mavs ain't gonna get there, you know what I'm saying. I wouldn't be down about seeing Shea and his squad get there. So you know what I'm saying, OKC, and then of course they're close. They're close in proximity to us. So I mean you can't hate on that at all.
Facts, facts. So Ken, I think you were born what in the 80s or mid
Yeah,
80s?
yeah. No, I was born in 1980.
1980. So
Yeah.
you probably wouldn't. Yeah. I'm not going to say that you even knew who these guys were because you was just now coming to the earth.
Nah, I'm a
So
basketball
there.
fanatic, so I know if you talk, I don't, you could talk to me about Big Cat Earl Lloyd, and I would know who you talking about because I'm a historian of the game. So talk to me, brother.
Salute, salute. So if I say the name Five Slammer Jammer, what does that mean to you?
Man, it's crazy because one of my uncles, shout out to my uncle Edison, man, rest in peace, man. He was at Fundy regularly in Houston, and he was one of the street ball players who was able to play against a lot of those Houston legends around that time. And when I was growing up, trust me, he told me about Phi Slamma Jamma and was a huge Akeem Olajuwon fan before he became Hakeem. His name was Akeem before he threw
That
that H on there. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I heard a lot about those guys. I heard a lot about Clyde Drexler. I heard a lot about Moses Malone. You know what I'm saying? Those guys that used to be at Fundy on a regular in Houston. If you from around the Houston area, then you know about Fundy. But yeah. So I grew up hearing about them, and watched them here and there, and um, of course with Clyde Drexler. I mean, that's one of those things where I guess me and my uncle, we had our differences. We had our differences because growing up when it came to shooting guard, Jordan was our guy. But
yeah.
he would be like, man, old Glide, Glide was just as good as Jordan. He was like, don't do that. Don't do that. So between five Slava Jamma, and there were other players on that squad as well, but most notably Akeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler.
Yeah, and speaking of Clyde Drexler, that's what we're talking about next, man. If I agree, I think he was like one of the top players in that time frame. He ended his he averaged 1997-1998 season with Houston, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, man, shooting at 42% clip. So the dude could hoop, man.
Yeah,
And he was the only thing that really, to my vision, my eyes, my perspective, he the only one that rivaled Jordan at the time because he was everything that you would want to be when it comes to a player. Even though that was a time where Jordan was out of the league for just retiring and they won, but Clyde was something else, man.
yeah. Yeah, Clyde was one of those 6'7" guards who could do everything. Who played defense really well, handled the ball, shoot. Of course, finish at the rim. Mid-range game, impeccable. So, he was one of the few guys, like you said, that could rival Jordan during that time. But also, we have to look at the way that the Portland Trail Blazers were constructed when he spent the rest of his time, most of his career there. They had a team that was very similar in makeup to the Chicago Bulls. So, and I always like to remind younger people that Clyde is the reason why Portland didn't draft Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? With
Mm,
their first pick, that's why they went Sam Bowie because
Yeah.
they already had their shooting guard. They already had the position filled. So people talk about that all the time. Well, what if they would have drafted him? I'm like, that wasn't gonna happen, right? Because they already had the position filled. They had their guy. And at that time, Michael Jordan was coming in. He was great, but Clyde Drexler was great too.
Yeah.
So, and Portland needed a big. And at the time, Sam Bowie was that guy. If you watched him
Yeah.
in college, he was that guy. And even in the league, after he had this catastrophic injury, he still was able to salvage his career and have pretty decent numbers. So that ought to tell you how good the guy was. So he gets this bad rap about how he's a big bust. I'm like, nah, there's been worse. There's been worse number one draft picks than Sam Bowie for sure. But yeah, Clyde the Glide, that guy.
Yeah, and when he went to the Olympics, man, that was one of the most amazing feats that he was able to play in the Olympics, man. He brought a lot of continuity, defense, everything that you expect him to have when it comes to an Olympian.
Oh yeah. Clyde had an all around game, and I think the best thing about him is he could play with anybody. When you talk to these guys that played with him or played against him, you don't hear anybody say anything negative, man. You don't hear any crazy stories or anything about Clyde. He just hooped. Like, and if he did do anything like that, you didn't hear about it. He stayed low key. So I think a lot of people, like I said, hold him in high regard.
Yeah. I mean, he ended his career averaging 20 points a game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and again, the shooting clip was a crazy 47.2% from the field. How can you throw something at that, man? The dude he was there, man. A lot of kids, when they finish their season careers in basketball, they don't actually end up averaging 20 points a game still. You know what I mean? That's only a few people done that. LeBron's one. Jordan's another. It's not quite a few out there that you can say that done that. If you could take it back to five Slammer Jammer, him, Kim Olajuwon, and they also ended up in Houston together where they won their first championship. What are your thoughts on that team when they played for the University of Houston?
That team was, I think, a predecessor to UNLV. If we remember UNLV, the Running Rebels, like
Yeah,
if you look at Phi Slamma Jamma, they were, cut from that same cloth where they got up and down the floor and they were able to finish at the rim. Hence the name, Phi Slamma Jamma, their fraternity of dunkers. And there was other guys on the team who I can't recall right now their names, but everybody really could finish at the rim. So that's why they got that name. And but that was the biggest thing, man. They just ran you out the gym.
yeah, facts. Clyde Drexler, Hakeem Olajuwon, Michael Young, Rob Williams, Larry Micus. I don't know how you pronounce that name. They were some really good players back then. I didn't get a chance to watch them because I was still young, still had boogers coming out my nose at the time, so I didn't really watch basketball in kindergarten, I guess. But yeah, I when I learned about them later on, kind of like you, I'm trying to be a historian, try to sink a lot of knowledge in my head when it comes to basketball. They were some of the most notable teams out there. It reminds me, but only the difference between them and the Fab Five is that the Fab Five as athletic as the Five Slamma Jamma. The Fab Five was just these phenomenal freshmen that came into into NCAA hooping like they've been there for years, and to compare that to the Five Slamma Jamma, just me comparing them, uh, the Five Slamma Jamma probably would have run them kids out the gym if they would have ever faced against them. No, even
I
though
don't
they was good.
I don't know because when you look at you got to remember that Fab Five played Run the Rebels,
Yeah,
and that was a good matchup. But I think the difference with the Fab Five was the fact that they had bigs that were really good passers.
yep,
So they got up and down the floor, but they were more effective in half court sets, right? Set something up, be able to pass, be able to move, and they had such a big lineup that they were kind of interchangeable,
yeah.
especially in the front court. So yeah, man. I mean, those teams were outstanding, man. But I think with and Five Slammer Jam, I think they were just a little bit ahead of their time.
Now, facts. I think if they would have played, I don't know. I still think they would have probably beat my Michigan squad because I'm a Michigan. I'm Chris Webber. That's the reason why we got the four right here because of Chris Webber. So shout out to you, Chris. Any other thoughts you have on Clyde Drexler, man? What could he have done more? Could he have been the face of the league if Jordan was not around? Because who was the face of the league then? I don't really. I think in the '80s it had to have been like Larry Bird for was the face of the league.
Yeah, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson during that period, and then Mike came. I think somebody like Charles would have had a chance at it had he not been a knucklehead. So I'm trying to think of who else. I think Clyde may have, but the fact that he played in Portland probably would have been, something that went against him because Portland's marketing at the time wasn't the greatest, right? Um, you know, Portland was, I would say, people would laugh at this. Okay, so Portland was a poor man's Detroit.
Ah, never
That's
heard of that.
Yeah, that's really kind of the vibe that it was, because if you remember Detroit and the Bad Boys and how that team was constructed and how they played, Portland played very similar with
Mm,
very similar pieces because they had Terry Porter and Clyde Drexler in the backcourt. You had Isaiah Thomas and you had Joe Dumars. The front court,
Duckworth.
Duckworth, Cliff Robinson.
Yep.
So they had comparable pieces to those rosters, and they played similar. They were very physical and things of that nature. So, and especially when Sabonis came, later in his career when he joined them, that gave them a different outlook. But yeah, man, that Portland squad was really good, and we knew that when playoff time hit, Portland and Chicago were gonna match up
Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though Portland was West and Chicago was East, it was hard to beat Chicago at that time.
Yeah,
And even with Clyde Drexler, man. But I like the fact that he had an opportunity to play in a city where he was going to be, you know, revered and admired at the same time. Clyde had a great, illustrious career. I enjoy watching him as a kid, you know what I mean? Even though I didn't understand a lot of it, but when I go back to see some of the highlights, the dude was a beast, man.
yeah.
The weirdest jump shot where he jump and kick his feet back like that. I was like, well, where you get that from? But it was effective. He did his thing, man. So salute, man, to Clyde Drexler, man. Yeah, man. It was been an amazing show, man. Thank you for hopping on, brother. Again, it's always a pleasure to have you on, man. Uh, Sorry the kids couldn't join us. Boogie Bob, Wild Out, man. Y'all do y'all thing, get better, Boogie. Hope you see you soon. Um, Ken, tell the people where they can find you at on your social media streets, man. Give me your handles and where they can find you at.
Man, you can find me at Big Ken on Fire and Big Ken on 2K across social media platforms. You can follow the Fire Session on all social media platforms. Just type in FIYAH like on my shirt, and we'll pop right up. Go to YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button so you won't miss an episode, man. We just trying to flood these content streets, man, out here in the world, man. That's why I said Big Ken on 2K, because your boy be playing 2K a little bit. Got with these kids, man. They got me on video games, man. A couple of hours here and there during the week. So yeah, I've been producing that content as well. So if you see me in the rec, man, you see Big Ken on 2K, you're gonna lose because I'm nice like that.
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah, I heard it. I'm gonna have to tell Sin K, my son. I look for Ken. He out there, man. He said he
Yeah,
can get with you because my son plays a lot of 2K too.
yeah.
Man, thank you, brother. Y'all can find me on all social media platforms. Mikhail Poet Dash Director. Anywhere, just type in Mikhail Poet Dash Director. You'll see me. And always here on Swish for Real, we try to bring you the real. We're trying to give you some good stuff, Ken. We appreciate the crowd. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Yes, Swish for Real, guys. We are out. Have a great evening. Peace. And we'll talk to y'all soon.
That's it, Pring.